Welcome to Theater Talk. I'm Ed Schroes. Co-host Ann McBride and I are here the first and third Fridays of the month to tell you all about what's happening in the mid-Willamette Valley theater world. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Ed, and welcome, theater lovers. Here on Theater Talk, we interview interesting guests from great shows happening at theaters throughout the Mid-Valley. Who are we talking to today, Ed?
Well, on this episode of KMUZ Theatre Talk, we'll talk with Jerimiah Price, the director of the Phantom Tollbooth, running March 17th through 26th at Corban University. And later in our program, we'll talk with Robert Salberg, the director of SHREK The Musical, opening tonight at Pentacle Theatre and running through March 24th. But first, let's check the KMUZ Theatre Talk calendar to see what else is on the boards. Ann?
Okay. The Albany Civic Theater at albanycivic.org, March 25th at ACT, is a special Readers Theater performance of Chapati by Christian O'Reilly. Then Something Rotten, a very new musical, runs April 7th through 29th at Albany Civic. And auditions for Love, Loss, and What I Wore start at 3 p.m. April 1st at ACT. The play runs May 12th through 20th. For more information on these shows, go to albanycivic.org.
Brush Creek Playhouse at brushcreekplayhouse.com. On stage now through March 12th is Brush Creek's 2023 children and youth production, The Further Misadventures of the Seven Dwarfs by Emily and Michael Wood. This romp through the tales of the Brothers Grimm is performed by young actors aged 18 and under and is directed by Linda Zellner. Ticket info is on Facebook at Brush Creek Playhouse.
The Elsinore Theater at elsinoretheater.com, Northwest Broadway Productions and the Salem Orchestra will present Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music in concert at the Elsinore Theater on April 29th. Tickets will be available soon at elsinoretheater.com, and please go directly to elsinoretheater.com to buy tickets for the best seats and prices. Third-party ticket sites charge lots more through added fees.
Enlightened Theatrics at enlightenedtheatrics.org. Sarah Rule's Dear Elizabeth will be on stage March 10th through 12th and 17th through 19th at Enlightened Theatrics. For info, go to enlightenedtheatrics.org and check out our recent podcast with Jessica Peterson, Executive Director of Enlightened, Melody Irfani, the Director of Dear Elizabeth, and two actors in the play, Ronan Baker and Diane Slamp. You can get that KMUZ Theater Talk podcast at anchor.fm and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Gallery Theater at gallerytheater.org. Gallery's 2023 season opener is one of Stephen Sondheim's best musicals, Into the Woods. It's on stage now and runs through March 12th. Next up at the Gallery Theater is Harvey, the play about the 6.5-foot rabbit, March 31st through April 16th.
Kaiser Homegrown Theater at kaiserhomegrowntheater.org. The first show of Kaiser Homegrown Theater's 2023 season is The Odd Couple, playing March 10th through 26th. And auditions for A Doll's House Part 2 at Kaiser Homegrown are March 13th and 14th at 7 to 9 p.m. Performance dates are May 5th through 21st. Go to Kaiser Homegrown's Facebook page or kaiserhomegrowntheater.org for audition info.
Pentacle Theatre at pentacletheatre.org. SHREK The Musical opens tonight, March 3rd at Pentacle, and plays through March 24th. It's going to be great family fun, and we have an interview in today's program with director Robert Salberg. You can get tickets at pentacletheatre.org, but act now, they are selling fast.
Joe Dodge's acting workshop for actors 18 and older is at Pentacle Theater's rehearsal studio in downtown Salem. To sign up, go to tickets.pentacletheater.org.
The Salem Playhouse at thesalemplayhouse.com offers acting classes to both kids and adults, and they are held at Kaiser Homegrown Theater. To sign up, go to thesalemplayhouse.com and click on the Classes tab.
Spotlight Community Theater is at spotlightct.com. They're having auditions for their first show of the 2023 season, Pygmalion. That happens 1 p.m. tomorrow, March 4th, at the Spotlight Theater, 383 North 3rd Avenue in Stayton. Pygmalion opens May 11th. See Spotlight's Facebook page at Spotlight CT for info. And we'd like to send our condolences to Spotlight and the family of Bev Wilson, who recently passed away. She was always a great guest here on Theater Talk, and we're going to miss her. There'll be a celebration of life for Bev on Saturday, March 11th, and you can also find information about that on Spotlight's Facebook page.
Now to the colleges. Corban University at corban.edu/theater-arts. The Phantom Tollbooth plays March 16th through 25th at Corban. We'll talk with director Jerimiah Price about it later in today's program.
Western Oregon University at wou.edu/theater has the Laramie Project on stage now through March 10th. It's part of a special event marking Matthew Shepard's murder 25 years ago. And we recently talked about the Laramie Project with director Michael Phillips and actors Miriam Anderson Taha and Maddie Blanchard. You can catch that KMUZ Theatre Talk interview at anchor.fm and wherever you get your podcasts.
Willamette University at wutheater.com. Noel Coward's comedy classic, Blithe Spirit, comes to the Pelton Auditorium stage at Willamette University April 13th through the 29th. It's directed by Susan Coramel.
At the high schools, McKay High School is on Facebook at McKay Thespians. The Calamityville Terror will be on stage at McKay May 19th through 27th.
McNary High School on Facebook at Ken Collins Theater. Student-directed one-act plays come alive at McNary High School on May 24th through the 26th.
North Salem High School is on Facebook at NSHS Theater. Freaky Friday the Musical is playing now through March 11th at North. And the final show of North Salem's season is the fun mystery Clue, and that runs May 11th through 20th.
South Salem High School, and they're on Facebook at Saxon Drama. Student-directed one-act plays are running March 7th, 8th, 15th, and 16th at South in the Phyllis Quanback Black Box Theater. Students will direct 9 one-act pieces from A Simpler Time, a collection of short plays by 9 playwrights who find the funny and familiar on a trip through the fourth dimension. For info, go to at Saxon Drama on Facebook. South's spring play is to be announced and is scheduled for May 10th through the 18th.
Sprague High School students are bringing Disney's Frozen Junior to the stage April 20th through 23rd. For more info, go to the Sprague High School website. And that wraps up this week's Theater Talk calendar. Stay with us while we bring in today's first guest, Jerimiah Price, the director of the Phantom Tollbooth, running March 17th through 26th at Corban University. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more Theater Talk after this short break. Well, Ann, we missed it again.
Missed what, Ed?
KMUZ Pledge Week. It starts tomorrow and ends next week. And just like KMUZ's last pledge drive, you and I won't be on the air with Theater Talk next week to ask listeners to join in.
Well, then how about we start our Theater Talk pledge drive a day early? No matter how or when you're listening to KMUZ Theater Talk, please take a moment right now to support our program and the rest of KMUZ's community radio lineup. KMUZ brings you one-of-a-kind programs like Theater Talk because you're a one-of-a-kind listener. And without your help, we wouldn't be here. So go to kmuz.org right now or during the KMUZ Pledge Drive week starting tomorrow and click the Contribute button to help keep KMUZ programs like Theater Talk coming your way. And don't forget to say KMUZ Theatre Talk sent me.
Now, the size of your pledge is up to you. You know your budget, and you know how much you value listening to KMUZ Theatre Talk with all the news and interviews we bring you about live theater here in the mid-Willamette Valley. And Ann and I want you to know that we truly appreciate our Theater Talk listeners who help keep the lights on and the broadcast antenna humming at KMUZ. So whether you pledge a one-time gift or a monthly sustaining contribution, thank you for supporting KMUZ Theater Talk.
We are talking today with Jerimiah Price, the director of Corban University's The Phantom Tollbooth, opening March 16th through the 26th. Welcome to Theater Talk, Jerimiah.
Hello, nice to be here.
Jerimiah, tell us a little bit about the Phantom Tollbooth. From what I see on the website, this is a very interesting and kind of unexpected show.
This is a children's novel that's very near and dear to me. The play is based on the book by Norton Juster. And it's about a young man named Milo who is a time waster. He's unsure what he wants to do with his days. And he gets a mysterious gift that shows up in his room. It is a toll booth. And so he drives his toy car through the toll booth and ends up in the land of wisdom. It's a magical land where he meets King Azaz of the Letters Kingdom, Dictionopolis, and the math magician, the numbers king of Digitopolis. And he sets about a quest to rescue the princess's rhyme and reason. It's a really fun adventure that's going to be aimed at students, young students, but the performances, the sets, the costumes, they will all be high quality enough that it will greatly appeal to adults.
So what's the message behind this play, Jerimiah?
I think anyone who's worked with young students like myself knows that one of the principal barriers to children's education is often just willingness. Students have the talent and the enthusiasm and the understanding and the acquisition to learn things, but often it's just a matter of convincing them that they can, that they have those abilities. And that is the principal message of the Phantom Tollbooth. Toward the end of the play, Princess Reason says, what you can do is often just a matter of what you will do. And that is an important message for our students today, that their abilities, what they can learn, is often just a matter of their willingness.
And he's bored, right? That's the whole thing, is that he's just, life is boring and nothing is worth learning. The play is how he changes it.
Yes, when Milo leaves his room, his attitude is that he wants to be in school, and then when he's in school, he wants to be out. He just faces that classic quandary that I think a lot of us face, and that is there's too many things and not enough time to do them, or not enough things and too much time to do them. We face that classic quandary that a lot of students face, that has them laying around on the couch because they just can't pick something to do. And by the end of the play, the narrator is saying that there are all of these things to do, and Milo comes to this conclusion that he'd like to take another trip to the land of wisdom, but he doesn't know when he'll have time because there's just so much to do right here. And so he learns a very important lesson over the course of the show.
And how old is Milo?
I think about 10 years old. It's somewhat ambiguous.
And what about the actors playing him?
All of the actors in the production are students at Corban University, so ages 18 to 22. And in order to play young children, animals, kingdom subjects, kings, princesses, they are putting those age differences into their performances. We're putting it into the costumes and makeup. And so all of these characters, from young kids all the way to elderly people, will all be played by college students.
Jerimiah, this sounds like a really kind of fantastic and fanciful group of characters. Tell us a little bit about what people are going to see when they get to the theater. What's the show going to be like visually in terms of the sets and the costume pieces?
I'm excited to tell you about that. The show is a very large production. In fact, we've had our entire team, the cast and the crew, working on the props and the costumes in the set all the way since the first week of rehearsals. We've all worked together to create a lot of fanciful props and interesting sets to make the show really spectacular in its visuals. There's a lot of colors. We start out with a black and white room that Milo is in, and Milo climbs in this giant fire engine that's self-propelled and goes through the Phantom Tollbooth. He ends up in the Land of Wisdom with a lot of bright colors, spectacular characters, large costumes. He ends up at a letters banquet with all of this rich, interesting food constantly going past him. It's not a musical, but there's a number of musical sequences in it. There's no singing, but there is a lot of dancing. There's a lot of blocking and theatrical pieces that are set to music. So students can come to the production and they will see these beautiful musical sequences. Milo travels to the numbers mine and sees all of these glittering numbers. He travels to the land of ignorance to rescue the princesses. And there are some massive puppets that serve as these large demons, these demons of ignorance, who will be exciting and large and fanciful, but it won't be scary. So parents don't need to worry about bringing children and having them scared. That's what they're going to see. It's a very visually spectacular piece, a lot of bright colors, a lot of large costumes, a lot of beautiful sets.
It sounds like an all ages extravaganza.
Talk about the puppets a little bit. That sounds fascinating. Did you make the puppets?
Yes, all of the puppets in the show are handmade. We took a lot of inspiration from other productions that we've seen online that have designed their own puppets, both for the Phantom Tollbooth and just for other plays and musicals. And we had a couple of engineers, a couple of seamstresses and artists. We have a very multi-talented cast. And people have put together these puppets, and we have a very talented stage crew who works them on stage, and some very talented actors who voice the puppets. There's a large bird that's one of the demons. There's a very tall, faceless man who's one of the demons, and then kind of a large, furry, Humpty Dumpty-like character. There's a number of different puppets in there. They're very fanciful. It's difficult to really compare them to anything in real life. But there's also a very cute bumblebee who spells things for students. That's in one of the scenes as well.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yes.
And fun to make them too.
Yes.
A lot of what you're doing is making the student actors explore their own abilities, their own artistic abilities.
Corban is an educational theater program. And so we always try to put as much quality into the performances as possible. We always try to create a fantastic experience for the audience. Adjunct theater instructor, I also need to be thinking about what is our educational program for the students each term. And this year, a big learning target for that was, let's work together and give students real ownership over the production. And so from day one, I let the students know that we would be spending some of our rehearsal time that we would normally work on other production elements. We're going to spend that working on the sets and costumes, so that when the performance comes into production, when it's time for our tech week and performances, everybody in the production is not just able to be proud of their performance, but they're able to look around and see a lot of their handiwork in the set, in the costumes, in the props. And while Corban has always been a really community-minded volunteer organization where students have ownership, this one, I just wanted them to have a special sense that this is something that belongs to all of us, and that they're more than just their acting and dancing talent went into the production. And we have really seen the fruits of that labor over the past couple of weeks as we see some of the props and set come together.
I'm sure that some of them find a new focus in theater, that maybe they don't want to act. Maybe they want to make puppets or paint or do the lights.
Yes, absolutely. We have a number of volunteer and scholarship students who don't audition for the productions. They just contact me at the beginning of auditions, and then they come throughout the weeks and into Tech Week to just volunteer behind the scenes. We have some very, very talented alumni who have already graduated, who come back to coordinate our stage crew, our makeup crew, our hair crew, and then folks on the tech as well. They're just volunteers. They don't attend the school anymore. They just come back as volunteers, and it's really amazing. It's truly a family environment.
Well, tell us, Jeremiah, where we can get tickets and what the run of the show is.
Tickets can be purchased online at our Corban Theater Arts website page, and we are Corban Theater on Facebook. That's the easiest way to find the link.
And when does the show run?
It opens Thursday, March 16th, and it runs for 6 performances and closes on Sunday, March 26th with a matinee.
You have at least one daytime performance, March 16th at 10:30 in the morning, which is kind of unusual for the theater. Why is that?
Oh, yes. That for a long time been part of our mission statement to provide opportunities for schools. And so we have a performance on Thursday at 10:30 to accommodate schools from around the state who like to bring their classes. Yes, I agree, because the actors are in full hair and makeup at 8 a.m. And I think they would have something to say often about that matinee performance. I guess it's kind of like doing the Thanksgiving Day parade or something. But yes, 10:30, and we always send out a packet of educational materials to schools with some extension activities for teaching about the plays that we're doing. And we encourage teachers to bring their students to Corban on a field trip. And we also have a lunch package available. So teachers can teach about the play in the classroom. They can bring their students for a field trip. And then we have a lunch available there as well.
Well, that sounds like a great outreach opportunity. I don't think there's any theaters that I know of besides Corban that actually does that.
Long ago and far away in LA, I was a part of a theater that did 10:30 in the morning school performances. And the audiences are quite different from the audiences you'll get at night. But it's really fulfilling and worthwhile.
Yes, we get some very excited audiences coming, especially if there's a class of young students. It's a fantastic opportunity. And thinking about it from the actor's point of view, that's their opening every year. That Thursday morning is their opening. They do their final dress rehearsal on Wednesday night, and then they open the show Thursday morning. So not only is there a lot of excitement from young students in the audience, but of course, we all know of that adrenaline of opening and performing the show for the first time. So it's a very unique experience. It's not something that I have experienced anywhere else, opening the show in the morning to an audience of school children. It is always a unique experience every year.
Well, Jerimiah Price, thank you very much for joining us here on Theater Talk. The play is The Phantom Tollbooth by Susan Nannis. It's based on the book by Norton Juster. Jerimiah Price is the director of the show. It's at Corban University. The show has a school performance March 16th at 10:30, evening performances March 17th, 18th, 24th, and 25th at 7:30. And then it closes with a matinee on March 26th. Tickets online at Corban University's website, and also more information is available at the Corban University Facebook page. Thank you very much for joining us, Jerimiah.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll talk with Robert Salberg, the director of SHREK The Musical, and 2 actors from the show, which opens tonight at Pentacle Theatre and runs through March 24th. But before we get to our next interview, we need to ask you again to help support Theater Talk by making that donation now to KMUZ. You know, at KMUZ, the hosts don't get paid, and the artists, writers, and educators that appear on Theater Talk all contribute for free. We just need to keep the lights on and the transmitter on the air. And this is the part where you get to help by going to kmuz.org and making a sustaining contribution to KMUZ and Theater Talk using your credit card or PayPal.
Having an all-volunteer community radio station means that KMUZ doesn't have advertisers breaking in during your favorite programs all day. Instead, we have committed businesses and organizations that underwrite some of KMUZ's programs. But primarily, we rely on listeners like you to keep KMUZ and Theater Talk on the air. That's why we're asking for your support. We can't do it without you. So go to kmuz.org right now and click the contribute button. And thank you for supporting Theater Talk. We're here with Robert Salberg, director of Shrek the Musical at the Pentacle Theatre, March 3rd through the 25th. And he's joined by actors Corey Jenkins and Brett Hochstetler. You guys, welcome to Theater Talk.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks,
It's good
Ann.
to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
Well, Robert Salberg, you're the director of this show, and Shrek is probably one of the most popular musicals that is going around these days. It's based on the DreamWorks films. They put together some of the ideas from several of the films. What prompted you, Robert, to suggest this film to be on the Pentacle Theatre season?
I was just looking at, actually, I got a Facebook memory the other day of perusal scripts I had way back in like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there, and Shrek was there. And, you know, I just wanted to find something that I thought would be family friendly, that it's one of those shows that there's humor in it for the adults, but it's equally as entertaining for the kids. And I think those kinds of shows are few and far between. I've always thought that we don't do enough shows that appeal to families, but have that adult that adult humor, or that kind of draw that makes a family want to go, versus feeling like you're tagging along with your kids to see something that you're not going to really be interested in. And I think it's in our best interest to be doing shows that cultivate a generation of theater lovers, not just a niche audience. And so I had directed Shrek at CET, probably in 2017 or 2018, and had a lot of fun with it there, and thought it would translate to Pentacle. So I threw the show in the ring.
Well, Brett, you're playing the big green grumpy ogre in the swamp. Tell us a little bit about your role.
Shrek is a pretty iconic role, obviously. First of all, I wanted to make it, my own, obviously, but there are certain expectations you have with a role like that, because almost everyone's familiar with the movies, but so you want to have a pretty good idea of the accent and some of the delivery of the lines. So, I tried to capture that. Shrek is pretty rough around the edges, but he's actually pretty sweet on the inside. It just takes a lot to get there. So the journey of Shrek is kind of like mainly what you see in the first movie, where he's feels like he's all alone and doesn't want to let anybody in. And then with Donkey and then falling in love, they're able to kind of break down those walls. And that's Shrek in a quick nutshell.
Corey, you're playing the bad guy.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to tell me about your character?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, if Shrek is rough around the edges and sweet on the inside, Lord Farquaad is the exact opposite. He is sweet on the outside and just dirty, rotten to the core on the inside. And for me, it's a fabulous role to play. And I have not been in a play in 20 years.
Wow.
And when I saw that Shrek was coming, I was like, okay, I got to play Lord Farquaad. And it becomes more funny because I am 6'4". And when I got the part, everybody was saying, but Corey, you're way too tall for Lord Farquaad. And my answer was, oh, just you wait. You have to see what it's like. So Lord Farquaad, he has a lot of daddy issues. He's very diminutive in stature. And I get to just release my inner baddie. It's been an absolute blast.
I have to say, Farquaad is quite possibly one of the funniest villains in any animated series. The way they wrote it for the stage, it's pretty brilliant.
In fact, Robert, just today, my kids have been watching Shrek, and my 7-year-old said, Dad, I like the stage Farquaad way better than the movie Farquaad, which just is a testament to how well the character is written for the stage.
It's so well written for the stage.
Tell us a little bit, Robert, about how this script differs from the film version.
I think they do I think anytime you adapt a movie that has no music to a musical, it's always a movie first. There's always that challenge of how do you write meaningful songs that are going to push the plot forward first and foremost, and how can you make those songs stand out as well, that people are going to like them. And I think that's the biggest strength of this show, is that where they have inserted songs, they're really strong. They move the plot forward well. I don't think there's a song in the show that is a throwaway of any kind. And they're witty, and they did a really nice job of tying in the way they wrote the songs to the way the dialogue is presented. And that to me is always a big challenge of any adaptation. Is, okay, it's the story and they added some songs, but really they've done a really nice job with this show of, number one, adding the musical element, but they were real smart and they watched what they had done. And if you watch the Netflix version, this is supposed to be the same as the Netflix live action that they did, but they made some real specific changes after that Netflix came out that made this, number one, more palatable for a community theater to do without some really intense tech demands. Like the magic mirror is not in this version, which would have just been a tech nightmare to try to do. And they fixed some songs that actually weren't the best. Like there's one called Donkey Pot Pie in the Netflix version that's really a dumb song and needed to be cut. And they turned it into probably one of the top 3 songs in the show, called Forever, that's going to bring the house down. I have no doubt the audience is going to love it. But they were able to do the necessary edits to the show, I think, to make it more doable and a stronger show for the community theater houses in the world.
And speaking of tech, could you describe the set?
We don't reveal the set until midway through Act 1. And so I don't want to describe the set, because we're doing something that I didn't want to do, but we're doing based on additional technological requirements. And I just want people to come and be surprised. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well said, Sir Robert. Well said.
Thank you.
One of the things that thrills me about this show coming up is that among the other principal actors, there are 3 really strong parts. The part of Princess Fiona is played by Natalie Pate, who was last on stage at Pentacle in Cabaret as Sally Bowles. Fantastic voice, great actor. And Trey Green is playing Donkey, and Tony King Bios is playing the dragon. Robert, are Trey and Tony new to the Pentacle stage?
They are. I think I counted, and we have something like 15 or 20 new people to Pentacle in this show. We have a cast of 36. Trey is a senior at South Salem High School, and so this is his first show at Pentacle. And Tony actually works with Corey at SAFE. And Corey and Tony came to us. Obviously, Corey saw the audition notice for Shrek, but I think our costumer, Marianne, had a role in also reaching out to them. And maybe it was just, I could be wrong, Corey, but maybe it was just Tony, or maybe she reached out to both of them. But I know that there's going to be a strong contingent of SAFE Corporation employees that want to come and see these 2 people in this show.
Yes. In fact, I've heard that most of our executive leadership team will be coming. No pressure. No pressure at all.
They get to see why you come to work bleary-eyed on Friday after having had a full week's rehearsals at night.
Actually, the rehearsals are so energizing. It has just been a blast. I think the hardest part of the show actually is us stopping from breaking our characters, because there's just so much laughter that happens. Hopefully we'll get all of that worked out in rehearsals so we're not breaking in the actual show. But I find the next morning I wake up, and the hard thing with Shrek is these songs are so catchy, they just get stuck in your brain. I wake up every morning with a different Shrek song in my head, and I can't get them out, and I don't know that they're going anywhere until probably April or May, because they're just in there.
They are. They're definitely earworms. And I will say, I've directed many musicals at Pentacle, and I've directed lots of comedies, but the rehearsal process of this show, in some of the physical comedy, in some of just the sight gags beyond the lines, has, as Corey said, really made rehearsal lots of fun. And the energy and the laughing is, we find it funny, and I'm hoping when the show is stopping, because we're finding it so funny, that the audience will. I don't feel like it's a bunch of inside jokes. I feel like it's really genuinely going to be funny, and it's rare that this late in the process I still find it all funny. But I honestly, I'm one of those, I find it funny the first 3 times, and then I'm kind of, I know what's coming, so I don't find it as funny. But there's genuine things at every rehearsal that's new and fresh, and something that we hadn't done before that's just standout funny.
Brett, you can probably speak to this as well as anyone in the show here, but Pentacle Theatre has a new rehearsal space, and you guys have a big cast. And despite the rehearsal space being roomier and airier and all that, how are you guys managing having 30 some cast members plus, creative team in rehearsal every night?
So that's always a challenge you have. One of the nice things we had that was very fortunate for this show is Howard Street, where Robert teaches, has a nice big dance space, so we're able to use that. But even so, you try to figure out the logistics in your mind of how it's going to work with that many people moving in and out. The nice part with this production is it was so well orchestrated as far as the rehearsal schedule that when you would come in, it wasn't like a bunch of people standing around waiting. There usually was plenty of space because it was well regimented, so people could come at a certain time, do their stuff, and leave if they needed to. So for this many people, of all my shows I've done at Pentacle, this is as impressive a well orchestrated machine, if you will, that I've seen. I mean, it was just so well done. And to second what Robert and Corey have said about the cast as well, especially for a show which is all about acceptance and people that feel like they're outcasts or weirdos, this whole cast is so professional and supportive and genuinely kind to each other that it made the transition process from the rehearsal to the theater space so much easier, and just a really seamless process. And I can't tell you how much fun this has been. What a blast to be a part of this. And when I talk to people about the show, they say, well, man, it seems like you'd have so much, stuff to learn. I said, I do. But I said, what's really great about this show is it highlights so many other characters. You're going to see so many other fairy tale creatures, because there are some people still that aren't as familiar with Shrek as others. And I say there's all kinds of characters you may not even expect to be there. So it's a piece that really highlights the ensemble roles as well as anything else.
Well, there are characters from other fairy tales, right?
There are. Absolutely. You got the big bad wolf. We have Humpty Dumpty. You name it. There's all sorts of stuff going on.
And there's the gingerbread man and the 3 blind mice.
Pinocchio.
3 little pigs. Mad Hatter, White Rabbit, a witch.
Puss in
Ugly
Boots.
Duckling. They're all over the place. Ugly Duckling, yeah, it's all over the place. I have to say, one of the real special things about the show is Scott Ramp, who's doing our makeup, is a experienced Hollywood makeup designer, and we are so fortunate to be blessed with his talent. And he shows me his progress, and it blows me away at what we're going to have makeup wise. And that piece we're just going to begin to add here in the next several days, and it's just going to be the best makeup Pentacle's seen in a show maybe since Scott left in the 80s. It really is amazing work that he's doing, and I'm really excited to see especially the kids that come to the show's faces when they see that makeup. And we're actually coordinating the show opens during the week of Read Across America Day, which is Dr. Seuss's birthday, and a lot of the elementary schools do special readings and things on that day. And so one of our cast members is an elementary school teacher, and she is coordinating with 2 elementary schools in higher need areas of Salem, and a small group of our cast members are going to go in to those schools on March 2nd in character, in full makeup and costume, and do some reading with the kids at those locations. And then we're going to do some kind of meet and greet with the characters at the book bin for anybody whose school, obviously we can't hit every school in Salem. So we're going to be down at the book bin with those characters in the afternoon to do any type of meet and greet with them in costume as well the day before we open on March 2nd.
Wow. Now, tell me about the costumes.
Marianne Potter's our costumer, and she is creating what I think will be a rentable stock show of Shrek for other theater companies. We borrowed some things from a theater down in Roseburg. That was mainly some props and some small costume pieces. And then pretty much Marianne is pulling limited stock from what Pentacle has, and then is pretty much creating custom costumes for every single person in the show. Matt Jones, who's a amazing engineer, is creating Farquaad's legs and the gingerbread man. And we have a gigantic greeter head like you would see at an amusement park for the Duloc greeter. So, I mean, the costumes and the makeup together are just gonna blow people away. And Corey can probably tell you more about the challenges of the Farquaad legs because he's been practicing with those.
Oh boy.
I'm going to bounce out right now. I have to go to another thing. So I will talk to you all soon.
Bye-bye.
So in playing Lord Farquaad, again, I am 6'4", and Lord Farquaad measures up to an astounding 4'8". And yes, I did measure that because we all wanted to see how tall I was. But I play the character on my knees. And so I have these really great industrial strength knee pads, and then this apparatus that connects to my body, and it connects my false legs to my actual legs. So I do the whole show kneeling, and that includes dance numbers and a lot of singing and a lot of belting. And I tell you what, it's an added challenge because you don't normally do those things on your knees. When have you ever danced on your knees and done like a kick line on your knees? It's been a wonderful challenge.
Wow.
Brett, I wanted to ask you, Robert was talking about Scott Ramp's makeup a few minutes ago. How many gallons of Ben Nye's Shrek Green do you think you guys are going to go through between now and closing night? You guys must be having to put that makeup on with, a paint roller, because there's some quick makeup changes.
Well, yeah, and for the good part, the way we have this design for this show is Scott basically, when we started this whole process, talked to me. We created a mold at his house, and that way he was able to tailor some of the prosthetics and other pieces to my size. And so I think this week we're going to get down more to a science how long it's going to take to actually apply everything. Yeah, he's amazing because not only is he great at what he does, but he's also supplying a lot of the materials at his own cost. So just a really gifted and great individual for this show. It's a great resource for us to have. But yeah, no, we're gonna get down. I mean, I'm imagining, based on the prep time, he said it might be taking a good couple hours to get it ready. I honestly don't know until we actually go through the process. But he's been working nonstop on it. I mean, I've got some different hands he's been working on, as well as all the stuff going on, for my face and everything. Fortunately for this role, there's not going to be a lot of extra padding in the midsection we're going to need to add, because I bring a lot of that myself. So this is a perfect role for me physically. It's big, it's awkward, it's ogreish, and that's perfect for me. So that worked out.
Brett, I did a show with you like 11 years ago, and you were in the chorus, and you have grown so much as an actor. I just have to give you a lot of credit.
I appreciate that. And I remember doing, I believe that was Fiddler back in what was that, 2010 or so?
Yeah. Fiddler on the Roof in 2010.
That was one of my favorite shows, still is, of all time, for sure. And I came in, just not a clue what to expect, not really having much, I'd done choir a lot growing up, but not so much in the drama stuff. So especially in this community, being able to go from, that pretty green, not knowing what's
Yeah.
going on, to being able to, hopefully, carry out this role for sure. It's been quite a whirlwind, thinking back on it. But I
Well,
appreciate it a lot.
let's talk about some of the what roles have you played?
In Adam's Family, I was Fester. When we did the fundraiser a few years back for Seussical, I played Horton. I have done the Monster and Young Frankenstein, Officer Lockstock and Urinetown.
You've become an expert at wearing costumes, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of quick changes, which is one thing for the show I'm glad I don't have to do. A number of shows I've had like 8 or 9 costumes, so that was always fun trying to figure out how to get in and out of stuff
Yes,
really
yeah.
quickly.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
I know we all at some point have to get used to, but that's one thing I'm glad this show is, we're gonna, at least the outer portion, that's gonna be the same throughout the whole show, I'm pretty sure. So
Well, it takes you long enough to get into it.
Oh, that's for sure.
Wow, I can't wait to see you.
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a blast.
I just have to say, come and see the show because the cast is incredible. Natalie, our Fiona, is amazing. Mar is amazing. We've got Gingy, we've got Pinocchio. The ensemble of actors that has been assembled is pretty incredible. And I did not know that this level of talent existed in our area. So kudos to everyone on the cast and crew because it's just incredible.
Oh, 100%.
Well, folks, he's big, green, and grumpy, and he just wants to be left alone in the swamp. Shrek the Musical comes to Pentacle Theatre March 3rd through 25th. It's based on that popular DreamWorks movie that we all love and features a cast of 33 actors and great music. It is at Pentacle Theatre Friday, March 3rd through Saturday, March 25th. Evening performances will be at 7:30, matinees at 2 o'clock. Doors open about an hour before curtain, and Pentacle Theatre is about 6 miles west of downtown Salem. You can get your e-tickets online at pentacletheatre.org. Click the tickets link at the top of the page. Buy tickets now, folks, because they're already selling fast. Brett Hochstetler and Corey Jenkins, thank you very, very much for joining us here on Theater Talk.
Thank you.
It's been our honor.
Thanks for having us.
It's time to wind up this week's KMUZ Theater Talk program. Thank you for joining us. Next week at 9 a.m., you can tune in to Talking About Art with Joel Zach. KMUZ Theater Talk is a proud member of the Salem Theater Network.
KMUZ Theater Talk airs at 9 a.m. the first and third Friday of the month at 100.7 and 88.5 FM and on your favorite radio app or on demand at kmuz.org. And you can listen to our free KMUZ Theater Talk podcast anytime at Anchor FM or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ed and I will be back March 17th with a brand new KMUZ Theater Talk program. In the meantime, check out our Theater Talk Facebook page for news and updates about live theater in the mid-Willamette Valley.
If you haven't yet joined in to support KMUZ Theater Talk and the rest of KMUZ's great community radio programs, go to kmuz.org right now and click the contribute button at the top of the page. And thanks. Until next time,
We'll see you in the front row.